Leading off our discussion tonight, our Democratic Congressman Denny Heck of Washington. He's a member of the House Intelligence Committee and the House Financial Services Committee. He was present today for Gordon Sondland's deposition. Also joining us, Ambassador Wendy Sherman, a former Undersecretary of State in the Obama administration. She is an MSNBC Global Affairs contributor. And Neil Katyal, the former acting U.S. Solicitor General, is with us. He is an MSNBC legal contributor. And Congressman Heck, let me start with you. And I don't want to go directly to what happened in the Sondland deposition. I hope you can tell us what you will about that. But when you were in that deposition and you heard about what Mick Mulvaney was saying at the White House, first of all, how did you hear about it? How did that word come into the members who were in that room? And what was your reaction to it when you heard it?
It was right when we were returning from a break and somebody brought in a memo which actually distilled what the Chief of Staff, acting Chief of Staff, Mulvaney said. My reaction was, we've seen this act before. First, they go through a long pattern of denial, and then they acknowledge that they did it, and they say, but it's okay, and then they seek to normalize it. Of course, it's not okay, and it's not normal, and as you pointed out earlier, it's a clear violation of federal law to solicit assistance from a foreign government. But, Lawrence, here's what I did immediately. I pulled out the transcript or the record of the call between President Trump and President Zelensky, and I read it, again, word for word. And, you know, I asked myself, where here is there a single instance of the president asking President Zelensky to combat efforts of general corruption in Ukraine? There weren't any. As a matter of fact, in the entire transcript, Lawrence, the word corrupt or corruption never appears. He didn't ask him to do that. He didn't ask him to reduce corruption in the energy sector, about which there have been problems in the past. He did not even ask him to reduce corruption or examine Burisma, the company. He only mentioned his potential rival in 2020. This is clear violation of federal law, period, full stop.
Congressman, did you get any sense of what Republican members of the committee or other Republican members of the House, what their private reaction was to Mulvaney?
They're so busy defending him at any cost. I don't know if they've lost all objectivity or they're just, frankly, scared to their core of what he might do to them in a primary election.
Let's listen to what Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski said about this.
You don't hold up foreign aid that we had previously appropriated for a political initiative. Period.
And Neil Katyal, the law is pretty clear on that, and Mick Mulvaney was right about that when he was reciting it today. But what did you hear when you listened to Mick Mulvaney today?
I think the most striking thing I heard, Lawrence, was that this was the White House's defense. This wasn't the prosecution talking. This was the defense. And their defense was, hey, I did it. You know, the president did it. That's the defense. And, you know, I disagree a little bit with the congressman because he said this kind of stuff, we've heard this before. We've never heard this before. We've never heard the White House confess to a high crime and misdemeanor, because that's what this is. Make no mistake about it. You go back to the founding and you ask, what's the quintessential definition of an impeachable offense? It's going and asking a foreign government to muck around in your elections. That's what the founders, Madison and others, were so worried about. That's exactly what Mulvaney confessed to today. So now it's like, in criminal law, you have kind of the guilt-innocence phase. Did the person do it? And then you have the sentencing phase. Well, the guilt and innocence phase is done here. They just admitted it. You know, I think the congressman is right to say that the transcript already basically admitted it in the July 25th call, but not in so many words. Here you've had it in very repeated, stark language, and this isn't like some casual slip of the tongue. This was a 39-minute press conference that the White House Chief of Staff gave, and after a month in which the White House has been consumed by this. So this isn't like he got some gotcha question that he'd never thought about before. He confessed. He confessed, plain and simple, to an impeachable offense by the President of the United States, the definition of an impeachable offense.
Wendy Sherman, when Mick Mulvaney was telling you to get over it today, Mick Mulvaney, who has absolutely no experience in foreign policy, was saying that this is the way it works. This is the way presidents, and especially this president, conducts foreign policy. So there's nothing to see here. Get over it. This is the way it works. Is it the way it works?
It is absolutely not the way it works. And, you know, a lot of people have been calling what Giuliani and Sondland and maybe Rick Perry and others did a shadow foreign policy. This isn't foreign policy. I'm not a lawyer, but to me, this looks like corrupt operations for financial and political gain. This has absolutely nothing to do with real foreign policy. And yes, it's true that presidents have different policies because they get elected, and we have really tremendous patriots in our foreign service officers, many of whom we've seen gone up and testify to Congress, even though the administration has not wanted them to, who stay and serve presidents even when they may not fully disagree with the policy. But they have not been asked before to affect a U.S. political election through their actions. That's an operation that's corrupt, that's criminal probably, that is certainly not a shadow foreign policy. It's no foreign policy at all.
And Congressman Heck, as you were in the deposition, that's when Mick Mulvaney was doing all of this. But in the deposition of Gordon Sondland, the big suspense question for all of us is what happened in those 5 hours between Acting Ambassador Bill Taylor texting Gordon Sondland saying it's crazy to hold up funding based on political favors that they want for their re-election campaign. And Sondland eventually replies with this very legalistic reply saying, oh, no, that's not what we're doing. That's not what the president's doing. Was that penetrated in this deposition today? What happened in that time space?
Lawrence, we're obviously not talking about specific questions or answers in the deposition, but let me say this. Each and every witness brings new information and new insights to the table. And I like it to the use of one of those old 35mm cameras where you adjust the lens until you get it into the highest possible focus. Every witness has brought us into higher focus. In fact, I'd say we're already at a higher resolution than basic cable. And the question is rapidly going to become, frankly, where do we just draw the line and say it's time to proceed because we have enough?
And Congressman, what could you characterize his credibility, general credibility?
No. We're not commenting on any of the specifics, nor in that matter of the witness. But I would say each and everyone has added to our insights on this one way or another. And again, we're making significant progress. We have an incredibly aggressive schedule over the next 2 weeks, as has been indicated earlier. I think we're going to proceed without haste, but expeditiously. I think the American people would like to bring this to a close. I know all the members would like to bring it to a close. Day in, day out of 9 to 12-hour depositions isn't a lot of fun, but it's important, and we're going to stay at it.
Neil Katyal, I have a feeling